Hello everyone, Makeup Dulce here. Today I wanted to go ahead and use some of the products that I've shown you in my random haul but have not gotten a chance to use, so I decided to go ahead and just make one video pretty much including all those products. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is the Tarte. This is a Golden Days and Sultry Nights palette that I included in my random haul, and this palette I incorporated today to achieve this look. But just because it only has two matte shadows, I had to incorporate something else as to my natural matte by Too Faced. But then going back to the Tarte palette, I used pretty much all the colors from this palette, and I'll let you know where and how I incorporated those with this look. And another palette that I tried out today, I know I said I really like it. The swatches did turn out to be very good, but the shadows itself, when it came to trying onto your eyelid, it did not work out. But then again, this is the first time I tried them, so I definitely want to give them a couple more chances before I definitely turn them down for myself. But I will let you guys know on that. Then the other thing that I told you that I will be trying in my next video, which is the Too Faced blush. I do want to let you know this applies really good. As you will see in the video that I will be putting my brush into it, and it'll come back with a lot of products on a very gentle touch. So you definitely want to make sure that you tap off the excess, otherwise you know what happens. But I really like using this today in my video. As you can see, the blush is absolutely amazing. It does look a bit darker in the palette itself, but when you apply, depending on how much of course, but when you apply, it is not as harsh as you might think, which was one of the things I was kind of doubting on. So this is it for the reviews and also a little bit of chit chat. Without further ado, let's get started. I've already moisturized my face. Moving on to priming, I am using Ulta Fabulous Face Foundation Primer, which I am really liking so far. It does make my face very matte and smooth for me to apply my foundation on, and makes it last longer as well. And why I made that face earlier, do not ask me. I do not recall it. Probably one of my hormones going up and down for no reason. I'm now moving on to concealing my eyes. So today I'm using Photogenic by Lancome in Camay. This is very smooth cream-based concealer. As you can see that I only went in one time, and it gave me a whole bunch of product on to work with. So I'm now going to go and apply that wherever my problem areas are, and then move on to my beauty blender to blend that into my skin. I'm really going to go ahead and make sure that it is well blended into my skin. Moving on to highlight, I am using today LA Girl Cosmetics High Definition highlighter, concealer, whatever you want to call it, and I'm using in creamy beige. I'm going to be applying that wherever I want to highlight on my face, and I want to make sure that it's well blended into my skin. I'm now going to go ahead and let that cook. I'm using Aspen powder, which is easily available at any drugstore near you. I really love this product. Like, I can literally just use this. Today I'm using Lancome Matte Nude Third, which is my color, foundation for the face. I'm using stippling brush, and I'm wetting that with using Urban Decay setting spray, and apply that all over my face. I will be making sure that this is applied generously all over my face, as this is my foundation today. I will be moving on to putting some color and bronze on my face. I'm using Hoola bronzer by Benefit Cosmetics, and I will be applying that with an angled brush. I believe this is from Coastal Scents, and I will be applying that all over my face wherever the sun would directly hit, and this will give me the warmth, some color on my face, and I love doing this step. I'm now going to go ahead and clean off any excess powder that is left over from earlier, and I will be moving on to contouring my nose. You also want to make sure that you take any brush. I'm using stippling brush by Sigma Cosmetics, and I am actually blending the two colors together, which is the setting powder and also the bronzer earlier that I did. I'm now going to go ahead and contour my nose using the Hoola bronzer, and moving on to contouring the face. I'm using NYX Cosmetics contour palette. This is the first time I'm applying this product onto my face, so I will let you know how that will go. I will be mixing two colors together to create the contour and create the shadow effect onto my face, and moving on to my nose as well. I was not a huge fan of the highlight powder. However, like I said, I will let you know how it lasted me all day long, but so far so good. So for the highlight, I will be mixing the two highlight shades from this palette onto my fan brush by Coastal Scents, and I will be applying that onto my cheekbones. Now the highlights from this palette are not very intense like any other highlight powder, so this is more for everyday use or somebody who is not so fond of highlight. I will now be adding Pure Radiance by Bare Minerals to intensify the highlight for me, and I will be blinging that face up. Moving on to my blush, today I'm using Too Faced Love Hangover, newest blush that they just came out with. I will be applying that onto my cheeks. Now this blush is super pigmented, very buttery feel to it. I absolutely love it. I really did enjoy applying it, and actually it lasted all day long, believe it or not. I will now be setting my face using Urban Decay setting spray like always. Now moving on to my eyes, I will be using Shadow Insurance by Too Faced and applying that with my finger all over my eyelid. The palette I'm working today with mainly is Tarte Cosmetics Golden Days and Sultry Nights. I will be taking the white matte shade from this palette and applying that all over my eyes. That is hilarious. I just noticed my daughter in the background, but okay, well, let's go ahead and move on to our eyeshadows. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my primer is nicely set. Then moving on to Sephora Moon Shadow Baked eyeshadow palette in the nude, and I'm using soft gold from it. These eyeshadows have specks of shimmer in it, so I was hoping for the same effect when I was applying it, but it was not giving me the intensity that I was looking for. I even tried to wet my brush, so I went with the flow and used Too Faced Natural Matte eyeshadow, and I took the eyeshadow Honey Butter, which has been my favorite transition color lately. I'm now going to go ahead and take Espresso from the same palette and apply that onto the outer corner of my eye for the intense depth. And I will make sure it's nicely blended into my transition color. Moving on to my Tarte palette, I will be taking this bronzy copper brown color from this palette, and I will be applying that all over my eyelid with the eyeshadow shading brush from Sigma Cosmetics. These shadows are so buttery smooth and pigmented that I really enjoy working with them. I'm now moving on to my eyeliner, and today I'm using Tarte Cosmetics Amazonian Clay Eyeliner in black and apply that with Coastal Scent Eyeliner Angled Brush. And I will also be using BH Cosmetics Liquid Liner to extend the inner corner to create a cat eye effect. And then we'll be taking the matte brown shade from this palette and actually be applying that as a transition color to my lower lash line with a pencil brush by Crown Brushes. Then I will be taking Physicians Formula black eyeliner and put that into my waterline. I'm now going to be taking this green, blue, sea green, whatever you want to call it, color, and I will be applying that to my lower lash line for a pop of color. Let's move on to lashes. I'm using today the Maybelline Colossal Mascara, but before we apply that, let's curl them first. Then I will also be using Ardell Lashes in number 120. The adhesive I'm using and I like to work with is actually Duo Eyelash Adhesive in dark tone. I love the fact that it is dark and it's fast drying. Then moving back to my Too Faced matte palette, taking Espresso, applying it with Morphe M330 brush and actually be darkening the outer corner just a tad bit more to your like. And then moving on to lips using NYX Cosmetics lip liner in nude pink. Today for the lipstick I'm using Clinique Rose Defile and layering that with Smashbox lip gloss in Pout. So ladies, that completes my today's look. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching my video. Hopefully you learned something and found it useful. Please do tag me on Instagram if you do recreate it. I would love to check it out. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you already don't, as you know that you don't have to, but I would love it if you do. Thank you so much. And I will see you ladies later. Bye-bye.